Hey everyone, it's Maze1370. Today we are going to test out the new ML4 Angel of Light Angelica. Before we get into it though, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, please check the video description below for a link to my Discord. And just a reminder, my Alt Guild Corgi Squad is still recruiting. We can always use new members. So if you're interested in hanging out in an Alt Guild, then please let me know in the comment or on the Discord. Okay, so let's see. Angel of Light Angelica is causing a lot of people consternation, mostly because she's a pretty strong ML4, and you know, those don't have a guaranteed pity. I was lucky enough to be able to summon her. It did take quite a few resources to get her though, and I know some people have been getting absolutely wrecked trying to get her, so I'm just fortunate to have, you know, pulled her at all. I have her triple S here, and I haven't put her on the absolute premium gear that, you know, we could do. I wanted to give this build a try, and the reason I wanted to try this build is because she has immune to stun in her kit here, which means that she doesn't strictly need immunity. There are a few niche scenarios where immunity would help her, mostly against an Assassin Sid, because he could silence and push her back. However, other than that, I don't think immunity really does much for her, because she's immune to stun. So I'm going to try to run her without immunity just to get more stats, and we'll see how that goes, and if I feel like I need immunity because I keep getting punished, then maybe I'll switch her over. Additionally, I'm not really sure how fast versus how tanky I want to make her. If you put your absolute premium speed gear on her and she gets banned a lot, I feel like it might be kind of a waste, and you know, it may not be necessary. Additionally, even if you do put your premium speed gear on her, her base speed is not like Assassin Sid, so she's never going to outspeed him. So I'm not sure if there's a ton of utility in having her go like 280 versus, you know, 300 or something like that. So you can see here, I've built her basically like an effectiveness opener with speed, HP defense, and effectiveness. Here's the gear. It's basically gear that has rolled, you know, well into speed, defensive stats, and effectiveness. You could put faster gear on her, you know, if you wanted. You might struggle to keep the effectiveness high. The artifact I'm using on her is Book. I think Book is super strong and very flexible. It's always going to be a good choice on a mage. It may not be best in slot for a particular mage, but it's always going to be good. For her, you could consider Spirit's Breath like they used in the preview to reset her skill 3. However, I don't think that's really that strong. You know, she cycles back around pretty quickly to it, and I think having a Book is just a lot more versatile. It allows you to draft with units like Pavel. For the most part, I have her fully molded. I haven't got this last one here because she's not really a damage dealer, but other than that, everything else is pretty much maxed out. She has a silence on her skill 1, and when the target is silenced after attacking, decreases their CR by 25%. This is actually kind of absurd. When you have her on a really high effectiveness build, I noticed that you can just keep, you know, certain units locked down because she's so fast. She's turn cycling more quickly than they are, and she knocks them back and keeps them silent. So they just like don't do anything. People are building some Soul Weavers like Maid Chloe with super high effect resistance just to try to deal with her. You know, I don't know if that's going to be the play. The meta is still kind of shifting around now that she's been released, so we're going to have to wait and see. In terms of what types of teams you'd want to use her on, I think she fits well on a cleave team because she holds Book. I think it's really stupid that they made her a mage, but it is what it is. So the fact that she holds Book means you can pair her with Pavel and stuff. She's very similar to Tea Time Tenebria in that she almost demands some sort of answer, and it feels like one unit alone can't answer her and is never like a must ban on your side when they pick it. So because of that, it kind of puts them in a position where do they want to overcommit to countering Angel of Light Angelica, or do they want to, you know, deal with the rest of your team and try to force ban her? So a very strong unit. I don't know if she's first pick worthy. Still playing around with her and trying to figure out potential units that could respond to her. So let's take a look at a couple games and see how she does. Okay, so in order to test Angel of Light, I'm going to try to first pick her when possible, just to get a feel for how people respond to her, how you can, you know, flex from that first pick into a more aggressive or defensive or maybe debuff, you know, style draft. I think Book is flexible in that way. It definitely lets you go aggressive if you want to, and depending on your build, you know, if she's tanky enough, I think you could play more of a bruiser game with her. So we first pick her here. The opponent takes Maid Chloe. So I've seen some people have been building really high effect resistance Maid Chloes to try and deal with Angel of Light. And I think that's one possible way of answering her. Maid Chloe will dispel 2 debuffs so that, you know, removes the debuffs from Angel of Light. However, in order to have enough defect resistance to reliably do that, I think you're going to need like 250 plus, because most people are running 150 to 200 effectiveness on their Angel of Light Angelicas. And if you do that, you're not going to have enough room in your stats to have a tanky Maid Chloe. The builds I've seen people do with pretty high gear score stuff is 15 to 16 KHP and about 1500 defense, you know, around like 200 to 210 speed. And that's a fairly squishy Maid Chloe. So if you have that build, I think you're really kind of dedicating your Maid Chloe to be more of a debuff answer, which is okay. You know, you can build your units around however you want to so that you can answer different strategies. I find Maid Chloe really valuable in bruiser fights, though, that don't necessarily have a lot of debuffs, and so I like having her tankier. So here I take Politis and Amelia because the opponent has taken Landy. So if Maid Chloe uses her, you know, revive skill, then Politis is going to go, and that provides me with a lot of value. Amelia will give me attack buff and will help me turn cycle quickly and put out a lot of pressure, and also will give me a little bit of sustain. So I think Amelia is strong in a comp like this. Then I take Pavel because I have 2 books. I have Angel of Light, which is a counter to Pavel, so I don't have to worry about being counterpicked. And this will help me establish first turn. So if the opponent takes Acid here, I guess that could be problematic for me if he then banned Pavel, because then he'd pretty much assuredly get first turn. So I think Acid would probably be a good pick for the opponent. I have Arbiter Vildred though, and I picked him because the opponent has taken pretty much DPS and Maid, so has no mitigation. So if RB gets a turn, he's going to really cause havoc. So the danger there is that RB is sniped off by Spectre Tenebria Soulburn, you know, and then isn't able to get his damage out. So I want to make sure I enable turn 1. So we really need to make sure that happens. The opponent last picks Bysaria, and I'm a little afraid. I don't know how fast the Bysaria is, but I remember I have Angel of Light, and so she can cleanse away most of Bysaria's debuffs. And so I don't think it would be that catastrophic for me if Bysaria took the first turn, you know, because we have Angel of Light. If he bans that Angel of Light, that means I get Pavel, which means I'll almost certainly get the first turn. So we can leave Bysaria in and get rid of Kisei, who could also be built really fast and could just assassinate Politis, and that would be really bad for me. So he bans out the Pavel, so we're going to have to deal with the Bysaria, and I think that's okay because we have several unbuffable effects. You can see we get turn 1 with Angel of Light, and watch how stupid this is. So the entire team is unbuffed and silenced, so we essentially get a full rotation from the enemy team where not much happens, and that's pretty crippling. We gab to add insult to injury so we can soulburn that and just do a ton of damage and basically wipe out the team. So Maid Chloe does have souls here from Stenny, and so this is another potential way you could use Maid Chloe without high ER. You just soulburn her to cycle out of the silence, and then you can skill 2. The problem is we have Politis here, so Maid Chloe skill 3s, but that's going to trigger Politis, and Politis is just going to wipe out whoever died, which is what happens here. You know, and then Politis cuts for the turn. We can soulburn her to get rid of the revive on Landy, and then we can skill 3 for the win.
The situation is critical. You are unwelcome in my city.
Alright, so that's the first game. So in terms of, you know, seeing how people have been handling Angel of Light when I first pick her, I've seen the Maid. Another option that I ran into one game was Tea-Time Tenebria. You know, if she's faster than your Angel of Light, that can actually cause you a lot of problems. I let the Tea-Time through, thinking Angel of Light would cleanse away the debuffs, but her passive only cleanses 1 debuff, and so you're left with the reverse provoke. So if Tea-Time lands her buffs, then that's bad. It's going to essentially invalidate your first turn. So a really fast Tea-Time, I think, is an option into her. Acid, as you know, I discussed earlier, could also be problematic, since if you don't have her on immunity, she can get silenced and pushed back. But I guess just get better gear and put her on immunity, and then you don't have to worry about that one. So we first pick AOL again. The opponent this time takes Landy and Ruel. I take Politis and Pavel. I think this will help establish my first turn. Politis can discourage Ruel from using her, healing abilities. The opponent takes T. Crozet and Apocalypse Ravi. So no matter what I do, they're going to have access to a revive, since I can only ban one of those. And that can be a little problematic when you're trying to play aggressively, because sometimes you have just enough damage, to punch through their team and kill them, but then if they get one revive off, you're out of gas, and then you lose. So ideally, I would really like to ban one of these revivers, so we don't have to worry about that. I take LQC here. She will be a big threat into Apocalypse Ravi and Troublemaker Crozet, because she can potentially one-shot them. I wasn't really sure who else to take here. He has a lot of mitigation with T. Crozet, and I don't think I can afford to ban him, so I didn't want to take RB. I didn't feel like it would do enough. Apoc Ravi's also pretty tanky. So I take Strays. I felt like Strays could be good here because he can just delete something. And if he deletes T. Crozet, that gets rid of his mitigation out the gate. And then I ban out Acid here to make sure I get first turn. So the problem I'm going to have in this draft is that I have to deal with double revive. I do have some answers to it on my side. I have the Silence from Angel of Light Angelica, and she can turn cycle really quickly, and I think for the most part keep Ruel locked down. Apocalypse Ravi could definitely be a problem though. If she's on Crimson Seed and cleanses out of a Silence or something like that, that's bad news for me. So the opponent post-bans LQC away, so that Apoc Ravi could be a problem here for sure.
There's nothing I can't track.
I get the first turn. I'm just going to Soul Burn with Pavel to get damage out. So Apoc is the one being protected by Troublemaker Crozet, so I don't want to go into Apoc because I want Strays to delete T. Crozet and get rid of that mitigation first. I think it would be a waste of my damage to go into the mitigation. So we could go into Landy or Ruel here. I decided to go into the Ruel. I just want to get rid of these revives as fast as possible.
Please move aside. The door will remain closed. At least to you it will.
That could have been a mistake, but I felt like with the Silence and stuff, we'd be able to overcome Landy either way. So here we did not land Silence on Apocalypse Ravi, which is kind of a problem because he could potentially one-shot here. So he skill 3s and goes for Strays, and our Strays lives by a hair. So that was a little too close for comfort. I may have to beef up his HP and defense a bit. I think his damage is so high, you don't have to run him on pure damage. I just haven't really had time to flip his gear around. So we delete the T. Crozet, so mitigation is gone. I debate about soul burning my Politis here. I decided I didn't need to though because she hasn't used her passive yet. But my intent was we can soul burn maybe on Ruel and just kill her. But I thought this might. Unfortunately, it doesn't. So Ruel will get a turn, but she's silenced, so it's not a huge loss. Ravi is silenced and has hit down, so can't really do much.
I won't stand down.
So our Angel of Light Angelica takes the turn. We can silence and push back the Ruel. We get a lucky dual attack, and that's game. So I've been doing my best to draft Politis with Angel of Light Angelica when I can, because I think that Politis is one of the better answers to her. The problem though is that Politis needs to be put on an aggressive team, kind of with damage, to really be effective at doing that, I think. And without that, it kind of forces you into a certain playstyle, is what I mean. And so that can be hard for people that either don't have a lot of heroes built up to support that playstyle. A Tywin, like this person picks here, is another unit I've seen people take. And I think a Tywin can be an okay unit into Angel of Light Angelica, because if you skill 3 with her, then you don't want to really hit Tywin in the opening cycle, because he could cleanse away, the silence, or I think he cleanses... No, he might cleanse the unbuffable, I'm not sure. Either way, he could cleanse away some of the debuffs and allow you to, break out and get something going, especially if she doesn't land all of her debuffs. But that only really works, I think, in kind of a bruiser fight that's going to go long-term, because I don't think Tywin does enough in the beginning to really justify, picking him. If you take Angel of Light and you're very aggressive, I think Tywin just gets overwhelmed. The opponent takes Spectre Tenebria here. probably just a flexible, book holding DPS that doesn't have a strong counter by herself. So it does encourage me to go AoE, and I take Amelia. I want attack buff, and I figure I can cycle. But to be honest, I don't really know what I'm doing here with this draft. I just figured, okay, we'll take some AoE damage and see what the opponent does. So they take Politis here. And I think I probably should have just taken that and something else maybe. But we let the opponent have Politis, so that's not great for us. So I think that's our pre-ban, or sorry, our post-ban if we can. But they have 2 more picks here, so hopefully they don't take anything that we need to ban away. Because Politis, I think, would cause problems for me. They flash over Elena, so I think they're trying to decide if I'm, really committing to cleave here, or if they want to, do more of a bruiser draft. So they decide to go with Crow instead for more mitigation. I figured into this team, because they're not speed contesting me, I could take Strays. He could just delete the Crow, so we have that as an option.
I shall present you with a chilling chaos.
The problem here again, though, is that they could take Acid, and that would be a problem, because I think we'd have to ban it. And I wasn't really sure who else to take, so I pick Arby. I don't really know if he's great though, but I just kind of wanted damage, and I wasn't really sure who else I could do. Looking at this again, I guess I could take Kisei, Blue Kisei. She could one-shot the Politis potentially, or reset her, just do a bunch of damage. So that could be an option. Tywin is the problem though, because he could stun her, and that would be bad. So the opponent takes Maid Chloe. And I decided I was afraid of the Maid Chloe, so I banned it. I didn't want her to revive whoever Strays killed, and I didn't have Politis on my side. I think, in hindsight though, this was a bad ban, because Politis is just going to completely disrupt me if I use Angel of Light Angelica's skills, and I had Landy for Maid anyway, so actually I had a counter for her built in. So I think, really here, the ban was Politis. He bans away the Strays. And I think having Angel of Light also would have prevented Maid Chloe from capitalizing on her ability. If I could have silenced her, I could have controlled her with Angel of Light also. So I think I had multiple ways to deal with Maid Chloe, and I didn't need to ban her. So that was a big mistake. I look at the CR here, so Politis is definitely going to cut. So I could just skill 1 and silence her, I guess, but I decided to skill 3 here. So Politis goes... and so this time when you use the skill 3, you can see the interaction is that Politis, counters with her passive, and then Angel of Light uses her passive. So each one will trigger the other, essentially. We get skill null here, but he has a lot of souls, so he can just soul burn away Arby at this point. He can also soul burn out of silence, so he can use his skill 3. So Arby's down, and this is pretty much game, because now my Arby's not going to get damage out. And so I'm not going to be able to punch through, the crown and everything else. So not only did I do a bad ban, but I think I misplayed with Angel of Light. I should have probably just pushed back the Politis with a silence, and then hopefully gabbed with Arby or something, and then, basically go for the Politis kill. And I think I could have potentially won if that was the case, but now I'm essentially hosed because Politis has her passive back up, so even if we skill, 2 with Amelia here, Politis just goes again, and, we're just totally wrecked. So this was a bad ban and bad play from my part.
Taking point.
Such arrogance. Mercy is too good. For the likes of you.
If you're ready, let's go.
Okay, one more game with AOL here. This time I'm going to try not to first pick her and see if I can fit her into my draft more organically. Because I think ideally I don't want to first pick her. I feel like if you do that, you're kind of committing to an aggressive play style. I have first pick, so I'll pre-ban Basara, and then I'll take FCC. FCC provides coverage against Tea-Time Tenebria, but not so much Basara, so we just ban him out. The opponent has banned Carrot away, and first picks Adventurer Ross, which is interesting, and Landy. Haven't seen a lot of A-Ross, but he's kind of coming back a little bit now that people are taking units like A-Taiwan a little more frequently. This is the kind of cycle we see where, people greed on effect resistance, and only run like 100 on their Soul Weavers and stuff to get more stats. That makes drafting units like A-Taiwan a lot more viable because he can debuff them. That makes units like A-Ross more popular because he can reliably put up immunity. Then it goes in a circle. So into Landy, I decided to take Angel of Light, Angelica, and Pavel. Angel of Light, is I think good into AoE units like Landy because it'll trigger her passive, the cleanse, the skill null. She can also just open up the game and strip everything away, silence, to expose Landy, prevent her from skill 3ing. So I think she's decent into that, and then Pavel's a bunch of damage to, delete a unit or something. The opponent takes Diane and Troublemaker Crozet, so going very tanky here with a lot of sustain from Diane. We do have the Pavel for Diane, though, so he can probably just delete her. We're not getting speed contested, and so in scenarios like this, Strays can be pretty strong, since he can just delete one of the tanks. And then I decided to take Spectre Tenebria, since I don't know what the opponent is taking last pick here, but I wanted another bookholder for Pavel, and I felt like Spectre was a good DPS into this team since he only has one AoE so far, and I have Angel of Light to kind of mitigate a lot of that AoE damage with FCC, that both those heroes have skill null, the shields, the Aureus, etc. I banned out the A-Ravi because I was afraid my Spectre would get banned, and then if Spectre got banned, I didn't have an answer to her. But he bans out the Pavel. I think he was afraid of his Diane just dying, which is, pretty reasonable. But we have Angel of Light here, and I think she's actually a pretty good counter into, Soul Weavers that are not running a ton of effect resistance, because we can reliably just silence the Soul Weaver, and keep him locked down, because she's going to cycle faster than that Soul Weaver will. So, we get the opener. Unfortunately, we don't silence Landy. And we also don't kill Roz. I think he must have like 2 hit points or something, but it's pretty close. But you can see how clutch the silence is. Eros won't be able to do anything.
This is a formidable opponent.
I debate about just skill 1ing to kill Ross here, but, skill 1ing the Diane to try and provoke her. Or just kill the Ross, but I think it's better if I just skill 3, since this will kill the Ross. We don't want him to get a turn, because if I provoke the Diane, he could put defense buff up on Landy.
You want to try me?
Not stripping Landy was kind of tragic, because we could just stun her here if that was the case, but oh well. Decided to go into Troublemaker Crozet just to get his, mitigation out of the way. So Landy can skill 3 here, but we have skill null from FCC. And this actually provides us like quite a bit of sustain, since that skill 3 will cleanse off our skill null, but then Angel of Light Angelica just puts it right back up. So Diane has speed buff, which is unfortunate because that'll help her, cycle out of Angel of Light Angelica's, deal here. I'm still burning to guarantee that I get the silence. Really did not want her to put her buffs up, because we have momentum now, and if we can get back around to Spectre before like anti-crit and stuff comes up, we can likely delete something. Soulburn with Strays here because I think it's likely that I'm going to get another turn with him because he has skill null on. T. Crozet goes, he's not silent, so he can cleanse off, the silence from Dane and boost her up, so I guess she's going to get her buffs up after all, so that's kind of annoying. But we did Soulburn Strays, so I think we should be able to strip these away. I don't want Landy to be able to attack strays. I want to have him live as long as possible. So I provoke the Landy, even though that's going to CR boost. You know, throws it up or whatever. And that way we have Spectre going here, so I'm going to wait. I kind of want these buffs off, so I want to go with strays first so we can strip them away. This could be bad if strays get stunned, but he doesn't go on strays, he goes on Angel of Light Angelica. I think that was a huge misplay. Angel of Light Angelica is immune to stun. She's a new unit though, so he probably forgot that, but he definitely should have stunned strays there. So he gets it there with the counterattack. But, you know, we were able to get the buffs off of Landy. Diana's silence, so she's not able to heal Landy up. So we can do this again, push her back in silence, and you can just see how AOL can completely control a healer. Kind of crazy. We can go for the provoke on Landy to prevent the skill 3, but she counters and resists, so kind of bad luck on our part. She can skill 3 here, but I think Angel of Light Angelica has taken enough turns to reset here. So that is the case. Unfortunately, Strays dies. He would have gotten cleanse there, but you know, we get skill null put up on everything. He keeps going into Angel of Light, so he definitely forgets about the debuff, or her inability to be stunned, is what I mean. She's back to her skill 3, so we can just strip buffs away in silence. Unfortunately, we did not strip the speed buff off Landy, but I think it's okay. She doesn't have anti-crit, she doesn't have defense buff, so we can you know, take advantage of that. Go into Crozet here and get rid of his mitigation. We splashed into Diane, which, you know, is nice. We basically just delete the team here. He can't finish us off.
You want to try me?
And that's game.
Stop now that I've won? How about... No?